This week on Engage the Sage.
Hi everyone, I'm Don Saucier. Welcome to this week's episode of Engage the Sage. This week, I'm going to talk about some ways to keep teaching fresh for you and your students. I'm always surprised when I hear my colleagues tell me that they're bored by their teaching. When I follow up and ask, well, why are you bored? They often will tell me they've taught the same class in the same way for a really long time. Everything is the same, and that makes it really boring for them. And this always makes me really sad. I love teaching. I love the experience of teaching, and the experience has never been boring for me. And what I've tried to do kind of in thinking about why my colleagues might find it bored is I think I do some things to try to keep teaching fresh for me. I'm going to share some of those things with you. When things are stale, when things are boring, I think it's probably because there's really nothing new or fresh about it. So I'm going to tell you about 5 ways to infuse some newness and some freshness into your teaching. Number 1, introduce new students. One of the best parts about teaching is I'm going to go have a conversation with people I've never had that conversation with before. The content that I'm teaching, it might not be new to me, but it's new to them. And I find this super inspiring. I see this as an opportunity to share my content with new people who will find it valuable, who will find it interesting, and I really strive to do the best in that opportunity that I can every single day. And when I'm getting ready to introduce those new students to my content, I'm thinking about ways to make it valuable for them, and I'm thinking about ways that I'm going to make my class their favorite class. The second way to keep our teaching fresh is to introduce new content. In my classes, they're packed. I have so much content. I have so many things that I want to share with them, but there's always room in my classes for something new and something exciting. I'm not even sure how I'm going to fit it in, but I'm going to fit it in because I think there are 2 kinds of content that we should be teaching. We should teach that which is important, and we teach that which is interesting. So when I'm thinking about my classes, and sometimes I'm thinking about my classes even when I shouldn't be, I'm thinking about new theories. I'm thinking about new concepts. I'm thinking about new ways to make that information updated, state-of-the-art, current, to make that class as valuable as it can be so that I'm learning new stuff with my students. The third thing that I'm going to recommend we do to keep our teaching fresh is to introduce new examples and new stories to our class. It might be the case that my class is going to have the same theories and concepts as it did last time, but I'm going to try to find the new and best examples and stories to keep those examples as wonderful as they can be to bring that information to life for this semester's students. And when I'm out just living my life, I'm always looking for these new examples or new stories to tell to make that content important and interesting for my students. And when I do that, I'm excited to share these new examples, I'm excited to tell these new stories, and I'm excited to see my students' reactions. The fourth thing that I'm going to recommend to make teaching fresh is to introduce new assignments. I am always thinking of new ways for my students to demonstrate their learning of my content. One of the things you may have heard me say before is I only give assignments that I'm excited to get back. So I'm always thinking of what's that next new thing I want to see my students do with my content. I'm going to try to make the applications of the learning personalized. I'm going to try to get them to tell me the personal relevance. I'm going to try to get them to share experiences with me so that these are super exciting and new every semester. And as always, I'm going to make sure that those assignments adhere to the 4 C's, that they're clear, complete, concise, and compelling. And I'm probably going to give them maximums rather than minimums when I create the assignments. My 5th recommendation for how to keep teaching fresh from me and my students is to introduce new questions and new discussions. Again, it might be the case that the content is going to be the same. The theories might be the same. Maybe even the assignments are the same. But I'm always thinking about new ways to get my students to think about the content we're going to be learning together. When I ask new questions, I get new answers. When I get new answers, I'm excited. It's keeping it fresh for me. Even if some of my questions are the same, I'm probably going to get new answers because I have new students. I know for some of us, questions in our class makes us a little bit nervous. We're a little bit nervous when our students ask things, especially if we don't know the answers. We've got a video to talk about that a little bit. But I will say that questions for me are really exciting. They keep it fresh. I love questions, and I think you should learn to love them too. When we keep things new and fresh in our teaching, the whole experience gets better for us. The teaching becomes more fun, the teaching becomes more fulfilling, and it becomes more engaging. And when we are more engaged through the process of trickle-down engagement, when we are more engaged, our students are more engaged, and they learn better. So keeping it fresh for me helps me better support my students' learning and success. In the comments below, I'd love to hear any recommendations that you have for how to keep teaching fresh for us and our students. Thank you for watching this episode of Engage the Sage. Please like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, share us on social media, and we'll see you next time on Engage the Sage.